We live. Hello, guys, and welcome to this BitcoinZ core meetup on the 7th of January 2018. Happy New Year to everybody, and I think we'll start by introducing ourselves again.
Hello, I'm known as Equipool. I'm one of the main infrastructure guys, and I help with development and various things, including the website and whatnot.
CryptoRex here, there, and everywhere. I don't know what else to say about that, but yeah. Long haul. Go BitcoinZ.
I'm Renuzit, so I do a lot of the development for the Android and the Copay wallets.
We skipped over HashGod.
Don't even know if he's here. Well, I'm Scribbles. I was a bit inactive for a while, but I help out with the marketing, accounting, and product development and stuff like that. I'll try and be here more often, I promise.
You better.
Yeah, right. Let's get through the agenda then, I think, because the other two guys don't seem to.
Steve hasn't gone yet.
Hi guys, this is Dreamscape, also known as Steve. Basically looking after strategic use of the coin. I've been going through every single chat channels, trying to figure out how people are using the coins and trying to figure out how we can actually support them and see what else we can do with the coins.
And then we've got also Rizman joining us here in a second, but we can go ahead and move forward.
Yep.
I can start.
Yep.
The first thing we had on our agenda was to talk about the recent rise in BitcoinZ's value. It was kind of a surprise, but not too much of a surprise. One thing a lot of people are asking is it a pump, or is it just natural growth? I think it's a little bit of both. I think BitcoinZ's been building a lot of momentum over the last few months. We've been adding a lot of tools and whatnot, and the community's been growing. And then I think some investors have stepped in to start buying BitcoinZ because they're starting to see the value in it. But one great thing about it is the fact that we're holding steady as far as the value of the coin, and difficulty staying over 100,000 fairly consistently. We do see a little fluctuation in difficulty, but that's to be expected as people use nice hash since it's back. People use that, and so what they'll do is they'll wait until difficulty drops, and then they'll buy hash power to mine extra coins in that time, and then they'll stop mining once difficulty drops or increases rather. So that's about all I had to say about that issue or that topic. Anybody else want to add anything about the increase in value?
Yeah, I would like to add something to that. I think that a lot of our work is really, we're starting to see it come to fruition. I mean, we've been working behind the scenes and letting a lot of people know about it. Been on forums, and communities been out there letting people know, BitcoinZ. So there's a large voice behind it, and I think eventually it has to gain traction based on all the work we've been doing. So I think eventually we have spurts of growth, and that's a good thing. That's a great thing. That shows that what we're doing is working, and we don't stop. So it's a natural growth in price. So at least I think so, and it's something that we keep doing behind the scenes, and largely the community. Great gratitude and thank you much for everything that's been going on, and it's going to continue to go as long as we keep on working. And it's a huge community effort. It's a global team. So thanks, community.
Anybody else have anything to add? Cool. CryptoX, you want to go ahead and take the next subject?
Yep. So the BitcoinZ GUI miner, we've launched it. It's been out for a few weeks, I believe now. If I can remember correctly, we have the tutorial video. I know that a lot of I want to cover the whole thing about the notifications that you get sometimes about it being, you know, a malware or a virus. It's just the way everything works in the crypto ecosystem. A lot of things are tagged as that just because of the nature of the way they work, the way they communicate. And another thing is the miner is packaged with known mining software. So those things are just part of the way you run into certain alerts and things like that. We can assure you that it's clean. There's nothing, you know, we're not distributing malware or viruses. Just the way, you know, things like that work. The next subject on the GUI miner is that there will be updates soon. We've had a lot of feedback asking for disabling certain features or enabling other features. So just a quick rundown of what's expected in the next update round. It's expected for next Saturday or this coming Saturday. Disabling the restart function and monitoring the status window. I think it's going to move into the actual GUI itself. And it's going to make some confirmations if a GPU exists. And there'll be some advanced settings like temperature limits. We had some feedback asking if there's going to be a way to set temperature limits during the mining, as well as adding DSTM to the package. So that's also going to be part of the new release. And I had one more thing about that, about the miner. CPU mining. We've spoken to the dev about that, and I haven't gotten confirmation yet, but it's something that they might entertain. So we're trying to work on that and see how it would make sense to add that. I think the biggest concern with adding CPU mining is profitability. I know maybe some people don't mind that, but I think that's the biggest concern with the developer pushing out something that may not be profitable, and you know, it may open a whole nother can of issues. So that's that part.
On that note, I'd say there's a lot of people on my pool that have quite a low hash rate. So I think people really don't mind the low profitability of using a CPU. If that's all they've got, then they'd probably be more than happy to use it.
Yeah, the dev sort of said, I think that's the dev himself, he's saying that, and from my experience as a miner as well, I have a mining farm with over 100 cards. It's a bit of a waste of time to bother CPU mining, really. It doesn't really, generally it's a waste of power, and there's not much point to it. So I can't see why you'd want to add it realistically to the GUI miner.
In addition, guys, hey, sorry, this is Rizman. One thing we got to keep in mind out for a lot of the CPU mineable coins, like I think Zoin is one that's there, are heavily ran on botnet nowadays, just by malware that's out there that's just using a CPU miner to mine the hell out of the coins and then dump them. So it's
exactly
it's a double-edged sword if we go that route. So just keep that in mind.
Well, that can still happen whether we have it in our GUI miner or not.
Yeah, but it doesn't seem you're sort of then almost supporting that sort of thing. And I just think it would be better if it wasn't included, because I think it's a bit of a waste of time, in my opinion, anyway.
Yeah, it's less out there. I guess it's less out there in the wild right now with GPUs, just simply because the amount of infected machines out there that actually have decent GPUs may be much less than those that are running. So that's my speculation on it. It's either way we go with it, we'll probably see massive spikes in difficulty from it once it catches on that it's CPU mineable, and the botnets pick it up, and may cause unexpected issues. But
so what you're saying, if your internet speed slows down dramatically, check your router. It might be part of the botnet.
Who knows, man? I don't know what the details behind it are, but you can clearly see it on some of these coins that are profitable in CPU mining. There's massive amounts out there.
for example, like your average school or university would have like 200-300 computers, and that would generate you like 2 or 3 grand a month
Right.
if you got a little bot going in the background, just like a little CPU miner mining Monero. And they're not good that was calculated for for i5 2400s, I think. Stuff. Anyway, back on topic.
Next up is Twitch tournaments.
Okay. So the Twitch tournaments, we're building a relationship with a esports team, VVV Gaming, and that is on the proposal block for voting. It looks like it's going to pass with flying colors. So we're going to start once the 7-day vote is up. We'll start interfacing and putting out the videos and building that relationship further. So they have 6-week and 9-week tournaments, and we're sponsoring their tournaments and providing them with some funding for their prizes. And there's a long explanation or details in the proposal about what they offer and how big they are. It's going to be a great opportunity for us for 2 reasons. One is great exposure, and 2, gamers have video cards, and a lot of them would like to probably use their video card to make some coins, make some money. And in combination with our GUI miner, this is a great opportunity for exposure and further growth, and to onboard more people into the community and grow even further. So I think it's a great combination to grow. And I think that one of the next steps immediately starting this week is to create some onboarding videos, so that those are things that may be simple to us, but for newcomers it's not, and that's really our focus. So things like how to make a wallet, that's how simple, what to download, your options in building in acquiring a wallet address, and then how to use the miner itself. So that's going to be a way to onboard everyone really quickly, pointing them to support, and pointing them to the fact, pointing them what the coin is about. So we have a lot of resources that we have to put in one place to onboard, and that's something that we'll be working on to get this thing started and get it launched.
I'm in support of that, because it's a great idea for just being able to build, because who knows where that'll go, long term. If it starts out and becomes viral, this could be like the old game tournaments you'd have back in the day, back in the 90s, where kids would go to
you still have
internet
those nowadays.
cafes. What's that?
You still have big events like that nowadays. They're just
way
bigger.
Yeah. It's much more compartmentalized certain areas over others. But yeah, I mean it's a great idea for getting people into it, and I'm for it. It's like I can go on about it, but I don't want to just go on about it.
I think what makes BitcoinZ a good coin actually for that, and for us to sort of advertise our GUI miner and advertise to the sort of gamers, because we have such a low difficulty, they can actually mine it realistically, and they could actually find it interesting, and they could see, well, actually,
correct,
these miners aren't that bad. They're not terrible GPU hungry people that are going to steal our GPUs and leave us gamers without anything. They can actually get introduced to it and see the benefit behind it, and maybe learn the technology, and it introduces more people, obviously, like you mentioned, better exposure. So I think it's a great idea as well, actually.
And I want to mention also that the team is very professional. That proposal that you see in the link in the proposal board was written up by them, and I basically copied and pasted and put it on our side. But they're very professional. I've been following their gaming, and they're very structured, very organized, and they have a large community, and they're looking to grow together. So, and they are quite large already. So that's a very, very great opportunity. I'm very excited to see that get launched and work together.
It would be cool for them, and then for other gamers to start accepting BitcoinZ donations. I know if I saw that on Twitch, I'd probably end up actually donating. So that'd be a neat opportunity.
I don't know. I didn't get to read the details on the Twitch initiative, but if I'm missing something, I apologize. But it may even be worth it to create some like gaming tournaments with that, and you have some small jackpots put together for winners of that. So let those communities that are the gamer communities run it, and then we just offer a kind of an incentive for them into it.
That's pretty much how it's working. They run all of their gaming tournaments. They handle it all. As a matter of fact, part of what the agreed upon budget is to help not only organize it but put out video. I mean, they're making videos and they're branding us basically on their side of things. So it's great. So yeah, that's exactly what's going on.
Yeah, that's badass.
Yep, very very exciting.
Sorry, quick question. What would it cost the community to brand this Twitch tournaments?
The budget is $850 for 9 weeks, and that includes
That's not too bad, because I think it'll bring quite a bit of exposure. Have you got any numbers on their previous viewership and stuff, or have they done tournaments like this before?
Yeah, they have. Well, I know they have over 6,000 followers. And
that's fine.
On their Twitch, and they grow about 75 to 100 new followers a month, 600 to 900 active Twitch engages each month. So
that's huge.
It's large. It's a big. They have 3,700 members in their Discord. I mean, it's a huge movement. So
yeah, okay. And I mean, we could potentially get a news article done as well. A Twitch tournament, a esports tournament sponsored by cryptocurrency.
That would be cool.
Interesting.
Yeah,
because I'm sure that'll be wanting to be written in some sort of article somewhere. So that could give us some exposure as well.
Yep.
I'll have a look into that. All right.
So if you don't know, if you want to find out more information or if you want to vote on it, go to info.btcz.rocks. Next up is the Coinami wallet.
So first, I want to congratulate the community. I saw so many. I mean, we saw people jumping in to organize it, to get the hash power going, and make the site to track it. It was amazing to see that come together, and we made it. We made the budget. We are in beta testing, as people know. So that's just an exciting opportunity and just another display of power of the people and community. I mean, I can't really express it more how excited I am about that. I'm sure everyone is. So those are things that we'll start to see happen more often, just based on the fact that we are a community-driven project, and that's just how we get things done. So I think I'm going to paste the beta link. It is on the info.btcz.rock site, but I'm going to paste it here into the YouTube window for the beta testing of the Coinami wallet. And as far as the shapeshift is concerned, and I think they have Changely or in-wallet conversions, those things we obviously don't get to until we get on the exchanges that are supported by those two services. So what this does is it lays a great foundation into being able to get there once we're ready to. Once we're on those exchanges, we'll be in the wallet and we'll have that service almost immediately. And it also provides variety in our wallet systems, because we need to have many ways to get to the blockchain, and that's just another added benefit.
And obviously, Coinami's supposedly releasing on iOS soon as well, so hopefully,
yes,
that's a great way to go.
Yes, they're actually. Thanks for mentioning that. They are actually going pretty much every platform. They'll be releasing this. I believe it's this quarter, but I don't want to quote that. And iOS, of course. Yes.
All right. Next up is the exchange hash drag race.
So I wanted to put it out there. The exchange hash drag race is to determine the next exchange based on the progress of the donations, and I think it's a really neat idea to show progress side to side that way, and to help determine the next exchange. The I will go ahead and post the link as well in the YouTube window. So the way it works is the first one to get to, I believe, 2.5 BTC is the winner, and then the remainder will get rolled into the winning exchange or set of exchanges. And I think it looks like we're about they're tied right now 2%. So it's going, and me personally, things take time, and I'm okay with that. I'm not for accelerating it in any way or doing anything, that reallocates, funds or going back and forth. I just don't believe. I think that takes the whole idea, and it takes the power away from the community if something is just, reallocated to make a certain one win. So that's why it's separate right now. But that doesn't mean that, if we needed to maybe finish off a certain portion as the winner, that we could, reallocate. But those are all just ideas that would have to be discussed and would have to be, honestly voted on, so that we keep it. I think it's important to keep everything in the hands of the community.
Yeah, and I do want to talk about kind of what the exchanges that are up for vote are. So the race is actually between two exchanges, one BTC Alpha and Open Ledger versus one exchange in Cryptopia. And so BTC Alpha, well, from what we understand, has a few fiat US dollar to Bitcoin right now. And so that's kind of one of the main features that it has, is they have a way of getting US dollar into the system. Open Ledger is a decentralized, if I'm not mistaken, exchange, and kind of like fits our mentality. And so we're kind of putting it up to vote with Cryptopia, which is a relatively large exchange. And so it's actually two exchanges versus one exchange. And there's going to cost about the same amount to do two exchanges as it would be for us to go on board with Cryptopia. And so that's kind of why the vote is set up the way it is.
Sorry, quick question. Is it possible for us to actually put up in the exchange rates site some kind of description of what we are trying to do, or what are the privileges of having that for those people who have no idea what's going on with exchanges? This actually allows people to make more informed decision, and maybe a link to the different websites, at least their ethos and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah, I think there's still development going on with the exchanges race site. I see that there's a note that we're adding tracking for the Bitcoin, LiteCoin, Ethereum, and Zcash addresses also. So the total right now may not be 100% accurate if somebody's donated to those addresses, but the tracking for that will be added soon, and we'll add a link and whatnot.
Thank you.
Could I just quickly mention the mining pool thing we keep, I guess, going on about?
Go for it.
And the guy just mentioned it, to move away from Supernova. I'm sure CryptoRex or Equipool could step in and help me with this one. But basically, if you guys could move to the recommended pools, such as Equipool and Mining Speed and Peripheries Pool, other pools that actually donate to the community fund and aren't necessarily as big as Supernova, you do make as much mining on them as you would mining on Supernova, and it just supports the pool, supports the community rather than just supporting Supernova's pockets.
On that, and I agree with you on that about we need to get off of that, but there is, and I was having a discussion with Periphery on it regarding there is, and maybe my calculations weren't correct, but what we probably should try to do is try to the 49% that, or whatever the percentage that's out there, we need to at least in a short term look at concentrating those into a few select pools so that we can actually get decent returns on it. Because when I first started getting on BTCZ, I was making almost off of mining speed. It was almost 25% less than what the calculator was confirmed it to. I shifted to Supernova. So it's there's a we need to get some kind of a proof to that pudding, on that thought process, and then work towards it.
To sort of say why that might have happened, how long did you mine for?
30 days. I was on it for, I've been going full on since then on there. So, but yeah, it was appalling.
For me, I think maybe they had some downtime or something, but I mine on mining speed at the minute.
Yeah, I love mining speed. Their page is beautiful for tracking your stuff, but it's like I couldn't, when I was looking at that, it's like I couldn't justify it. So 25% is a lot of percents off, when you're looking at the horsepower you have.
Well, the other side of that is that 25%. If somebody was to do a 51% attack on BitcoinZ and the value goes from whatever it is now to nothing, you've lost a lot more than 25%. So that's one thing to consider is, yes, you may lose a little bit until the different pools grow, but you're going to gain it in the stability of the coin in the long run.
Right. But I agree with that, and I totally don't disagree with it, but I think we need to look at as a group and trying to, instead of having a lot of tiny pools running in that, we need to try to make a push to get people to join at least for until the herd gets back on BTCZ. Try to centralize, gang our house horsepower to actually compete with Supernova on it. I think that's the only realistic way of getting past this in the short term.
I question whether there wasn't something else at play when you say you've lost about 25% mining for 30 days. It could have been a bug at the time with mining speed. It could have been several variables, but I mean, the math is fairly solid because it could have been that after that month where you lost 25%, the next month everybody gained 25% more than they should have. So I mean,
it's possible, but it's
very much a luck game, and it should be more accurate over time. And everybody says about I've heard about 6 weeks is the average estimation, and a 25% loss at 30 days doesn't give you much time to recover from that much loss. But yeah,
right.
I don't know. It's up in the air. I mean, looking at purely at the math, it should not make any difference which pool you mine on. No matter how fast or how slow block rewards are in the long run. So they have lucky streaks and unlucky streaks.
Yeah, right. To add on to that, again, as a miner, if you have 1, 2, maybe 12 GPUs or something, talking 1060s or whatever, 1070s. If you mine on a small pool, you might not necessarily, and they don't necessarily find a block, let's say, every day for some reason or something, or let's say you only mine on there for a couple hours and then you disconnect and then you didn't get any shares for the block that was then found.
Right.
You can expect your earnings not to be as high as the calculator would say. But also you have to realize the calculator, depends which one you're using, but maybe the difficulty is adjusted as well, and there's a lot of variables. But I mean, in the long run, you should end up, because like one day, let's say you could earn 10,000 BTCZ, and the calculator said you should have earned 15,000, but then the next day you could earn 25,000, but then the next day you could earn 5,000. Right. That's really extreme, but that's just what luck is, and that's what can happen when you're mining. So I wouldn't necessarily put you off from mining on smaller pools just because one day you didn't get the earnings the calculator said you're going to get.
It is really extreme, but honestly, on smaller pools, that's almost exactly what you see. One day you're making 5 times as much as you should. The next day you're making nothing. And that's perfectly fine because in the long run, it should even out.
Exactly.
One thing that I tell people that mine on my pool, which is a smaller pool, is if you sit there for a good part of a hard block, don't leave. Like after that hard block is done, usually like I don't know, I'm kind of like theorizing here. This isn't like mathematically provable, but from my experience in running this pool over the last 3 months is the fact that basically, after we find a hard block, we usually get some quick ones. And so the worst thing, and I feel bad for people who leave after a hard block, is that they miss out on the next 2, 3, 5 blocks, which may be much faster and much more profitable than that one hard one. So that's another thing to keep in mind.
I think what we're trying to tell the community here is that it's not just about the mining. To keep the network secure and functionable in the future, we need to balance out the number of people, the number of mining cards that are presented to different pools. And I think the community has to understand that if you want security, this is something that you have to do. Try not to stick to somebody, a pool that has more than 51%. That is very easily identifiable by looking at the network hash versus the pool hash. I think everybody has presented some kind of information that tells you that it's not just about how many people are in the pool or how fast you can mine, but sometimes it's just about luck and whether the pool finds the particular block at that moment. So if you're actually testing it for a day, don't get discouraged. Try other pools. Just do not stick to the one that like has a lot of hash power and then it's most likely 51% more. Sorry, has 51%. I think that's something that everybody in the community have to understand, and that's how we're going to keep the entire network safe and your funds in a better position.
I also have a question. When you were looking at what you're getting paid, were you actually looking at the BTC that was sent to you, or what Supernova and the other mining site were saying?
When I was looking at, because I look at this daily, and I was just looking at the consistent dailies off of it, and at the time we were mining, it was low diff, so we were pulling about 26,000 coins a day as per the calculator, and looking at it, it was just like some days would be 20, some days 22, some days 19. It's like it was a good chunk off of it, and when I did the math off of it at the end of it, it was like nearly 25% of it. It was like I can't justify. There's only so much justification you can give to it until at some point you got to make a move on it. And when I switched over to Supernova, it was a night and day difference, and good, bad, or indifferent. The averages became much more consistent on it. So that is the concern with it, is just the loss, the opportunity cost of going with the smaller pools. There is one there. Totally agree with everybody regarding the security thing, but like my suggestion for that is we really got to try to convince the community to stop muddling the mix in a lot of tiny pools until we get we can pull enough people away from Supernova to where, okay, now it's feasible to go to another smaller pool to get the luck. That's my 2 cents. I don't know if many may disagree with me off it, but I think, we're not going to it's going to be just for myself, it's going to be a hard argument to get me to get off of Supernova, at least until I hit 2 million. That's my goal. And then at that point, I'm going to shift over to a smaller pool. But right now it's kind of a time is money thing for me, and I have to imagine there's others that are in the same mindset. So we got to try to break that somehow.
But just to be clear, you are looking at the calculator on Supernova's website?
No, I use Watamine. I go and I plug in difficulty and everything else on Watamine. I don't look at Supernova's calculator.
And just to wrap this topic up, we have nothing against Supernova. For those that love to mine there, please mine there. But for our community, until we get their hash rate down for BitcoinZ, please find another pool. And we have a list of pools on bitcoinzguiding.ovh. And we list out there what their donation percentage is for the community, and some different information that you can look at to make an informed decision. So yeah, please try some other pools and find one that's profitable for you, and stick with them. And if enough people stick with some of these other pools, then maybe they'll grow big enough that they're very profitable, and the hash rate across the network will stabilize a little bit. So
right. Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
All right, last up on this topic is the BitcoinZ interactive bots.
Yep. So I just wanted to mention out there, there is a proposal on the deck, and these interactive bots. When I say that, or when I mention that, it's the BTCZ bot and the donation bot that are in the Slack channels. That are also help interact. They also interact with Discord and Telegram as well, and I think Rocket Chat is going to work as well. So that's just I wanted to put that out there. There's a lot of work that goes on behind the scenes with that and what it does. I think in the very early days or the earlier days, it really helped promote uh, getting some traction on the donations because it's kind of periodically on a timer mentions the increase in the donations to the addresses. So it's been very helpful. I'm sure you use it all the time. I think 14% of the text in the chat was the stats command or a command to the bot. So it's very useful. I encourage you to go out there and vote on that proposal, and we can keep the ongoing development. And a lot of stuff's happening behind the scenes. We're constantly bombarding the bot dev with changing text or URLs or adding a feature, modifying a feature. So I encourage you to go to that and vote on that proposal.
And on that, I just wanted to thank UK Miner for writing the bot and keeping it up and running. It's been very stable. I'm sure everybody's noticed that it's very rare when it goes down, and when it goes down, it's very obvious. So it's been great to have. Thank you for writing it and maintaining it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been very helpful.
Yep.
All right, next up, we're going to talk about some infrastructure things. The community now fully owns BitcoinZ.global and mybitcoinzwallet.com. We've actually gone ahead and also I mentioned this the last meetup, but we're planning on switching from all these different domains to btcz.rocks. And we've set up auto redirect for BitcoinZ.global to point to btcz.rocks. And we're going to work on the other services, but we have to make sure we don't take down wallets inadvertently by doing so. So yeah, the new domain is officially btcz.rocks. But we own BitcoinZ.global and mybitcoinzwallet.com. We don't own BitcoinZ.ph yet. We manage it, but we don't own it. The main issue is that domain, the .ph TLD, is quite a process to transfer ownership. You have to submit an actual physical PDF file signed by both parties and all the stuff, which is, you don't have to do that for any other domain. So we're working on that, but it's a much slower process. And basically the plan is with those 3 domains is basically to just let them die. We're going to set up redirects, and then we're just going to let them stay for those people that have bookmarks and whatnot until they expire, and then we'll let them go. And then btcz.rocks will be the main and official domain. Any questions on that?
Just one thing. I think I brought it up in the chat a couple of times. We need to find out who owns BitcoinZ.site and see if they can't forward that over to btc.rocks. Because when we do a Google search, it's the first hit we get there, and it definitely doesn't have the same appeal as BTC Rocks.
Yeah, I actually know who owns it, so I'll send him a message and tell him to do a redirect.
Yeah,
good point. I think Google, that was actually the first site when the coin was first launched, the first site that came up for the community, and then somebody else created BitcoinZ.global, and then everybody liked that site better, and so they made it the official.
Yeah.
But a redirect would definitely be a good idea.
Absolutely.
Next up is wallets. So I don't know if for those people that watch the forum, the Komodo team, I think it was, found out that you can add watch-only addresses to your wallet. And we're talking specifically about the Swing wallet, which is the Java application one, the full node. You can add watch-only addresses, and when you do, it kind of mixes in with all your other addresses. So you could accidentally send it coins, but you can't withdraw from there. So keep an eye out for that. we're gonna submit a patch to kind of fix it to where it doesn't show. I don't know exactly how we're going to do it yet, but so it's obvious that this is a read-only address. It's not as big of an issue because the UI does not allow you to add read-only addresses or watch addresses or whatever they're called.
Why would we even have that? That seems like something that we should just go ahead and, if we can deprecate the feature out of it. That's super dangerous.
We try to stay in sync with Zcash.
Okay.
This is a feature that they've pushed out, and so we're pulling it down. Basically, say you and I are good buddies, and I want to keep an eye on how much money you're making for some reason. I guess I can do that. I don't know 100% what the purpose of it is. Does anybody else know for sure? Yeah, so complete speculation.
It could be maybe if you're a trader or something. I can't see a real benefit to it. Maybe you're managing a trading account for somebody and you want to see how it's going or whatever. And the person that's managing your account, you want to see what they're doing with it. I can't really see what the benefit of it would be. But
I heard about that feature, and the first thought I had was, this is your highest priority. So, I mean, I'm sure there's other things that could be developing, but for some reason they thought this was important.
Yeah.
And that's fine. But regardless of what the purpose of it is, the UI does not allow you to add those watch-only addresses. And so it's not a big issue for us. Unless the only way you can do it is through the CLI. So if you're savvy enough to do it through the CLI, you probably know what you're doing, and you shouldn't. You should be able to kind of keep an eye on yourself, make sure you don't accidentally send funds to that. Renuzit, you want to talk about all of our other wallet goodness?
Yeah, so we've been doing some changes to the Copay wallet, which is our Lite wallet, which it's run on our Android app, and then bless you. Anyway, so it's running on our Android app.
Sorry, guys.
It's running on our Android app, and in the future our iPhone app as well. And so we've been making when we first kind of installed it, it's been on one server, and we've been working actually to try and make it so we can do it across many servers. And so some of the steps that we're putting in place right now is actually trying to, like, just how we set up BitcoinZ daemons across the, everybody runs a wallet and they connect to each other. We're setting up API nodes and wallet nodes across the world as well, so that it can become a fully decentralized application. And so that's kind of the things that we're working on. Working with Rizman on it, as well as Equihash or Equipool, and hopefully we'll have something soon.
Yeah, to add in on that too, if you guys have like a script for the installs for that, if you shoot up trying to get the OVA together now, it'd be helpful to know what order that stuff needs to be installed in to get it working.
Cool. Do you have anything to say about the Android wallet or anything like that?
Oh yeah. So we there is a Bitcoin Cash in the current release of the Android wallet that we have. There's a Bitcoin Cash wallet. It was never really our intentions to support Bitcoin Cash, but it was there, and to kind of what Bcash? Yeah, Bcash, whatever, BCH or BCC depending on your exchange.
Just call it Bcash.
Anyway, so we're actually going to remove that from the wallet. So if you're actually using that, you might want to remove it from the Android, or remove your Bcash or Bitcoin Cash from the Android wallet that we have right now to an actual Bitcoin Cash wallet that is supported. We're just removing it to make development a little easier, and so that we won't have to have any hackery and to get the thing built. And yeah.
Cool. Thank you for all the hard work you do on that. I know you've been pushing up a lot of commits to get everything stable. We're also, for those that don't know, we use GitHub for our code. Wow, completely lost my train of thought. We push all our code up to GitHub, and we have several different what GitHub calls organizations. One of them is BitcoinZ-wallets, another is BitcoinZ-sites, and that's where we'll link to for the different wallets on the website and whatnot. And we have some official, we've recreated the wallets on those official accounts, and we'll be updating links to point to those on the website. Speaking of the website, it's currently undergoing some cleanup. There's when we got it, the shape that was in was not very pretty. And for every translation of the site, it was just a flat HTML file. So anytime we need to make an update, we have to do it on every language's site, which is pretty tedious. And so we're going through that right now and are cleaning it up and kind of making the code more dynamic so that we only have one version of the site to update for any new features and whatnot. And then we have translation files that hold all the translations for each language. So that's kind of taking precedence over various updates. But we're trying to get as much done as we can in as little time as possible. But it's quite a task. There's a lot of code to go through. On that similar note, like I said, we use GitHub. So if you have an issue with the wallets or the website or any of the websites that we run, whether you want to suggest renaming something or changing some wording, or there's a bug and you'd like to point it out to us, or if you want to help contribute in any way, github.com is a public site used by thousands, if not millions of people. And they have features such as like creating an issue. And so basically if you find a bug and you see the GitHub link to the website's GitHub account, then you can go on there and create an issue and say, hey, here's my issue, or same with the wallet, here's my issue. And that basically, if you put it into Slack or if you put it on Discord, you may have somebody talking with you about it, but then after that conversation's done, it's gone. It never gets to somebody who can do something about it. And so if you could put that information into GitHub, then we can actually track it and we can get somebody to work on it. And the same thing goes for if you have the capability of helping with some of these issues. If you're bored one day and you want to go through our GitHub accounts and see what can be done, and if something that you can take care of, please do. Other than that, I think that's about all I've got for websites. About the forum, real quick, I don't even know if it's still up and running, but we decided that it was too much work for us to maintain the forum. Basically, it got hit by spam bots, and they started posting a lot of random crap that had nothing to do with BitcoinZ. So also, there's a licensing issue with the forum. It has a license, and it's expensive, and we didn't really see a value in paying for that license. And so we set up a Google Plus community. And if you've never used Google Plus before, basically it's like a forum meets a chat, like Facebook and a forum put together, if you will. And so you can use it in many ways, exactly like the forum. If you just search for BitcoinZ on Google Plus, which is plus.google.com, you'll probably find it. But that's where we've kind of transitioned the forum. So if you're gonna miss the forum, please head over to Google Plus and we'll talk to you on there. Next up is Tor nodes. CryptoX, you want to take that on?
Sure. So that is the I think the last meeting we didn't have that set up yet, and I think it was I believe it was Swiss Trader who put together an entire tutorial on how to get that going. So we do have 2 Tor nodes that are up and running, and also a PDF tutorial on the guiding site. And there's also a link on the infrastructure panel for the Tor nodes. So if you look at that PDF and that tutorial, you can set up more Tor nodes. It's highly encouraged, as that is part of our objective. There's a link that he wrote, a guide that he wrote in PDF format. So give it a shot. Let us know how it works. I believe there is 2 running, so it's worth it to try those out and see how they work. I think they're working. They're fully functional. So I'd like to get some feedback on that as well. I don't think we had mentioned that last meeting.
Cool. Next up is Hash for donations. HashGod, you want to talk about that?
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, thank you guys for having me, and thank you everybody who's listening to the community too, because this all exists because of us volunteers, donations, because of everybody. So thank you guys. I joined the BitcoinZ project in October of 17, and I just do my best to help where I can here and there. So one of the first campaigns that I thought would be kind of a fun, profitable campaign for the community and for its members was just to donate for hashing power. And round 1 was so successful, we ended up putting together a round 2, which was also very successful. That one actually had 2 winners. We were able to earn over 160,000 BitcoinZ in donations. That came from more than 65 individual donations, and so thank you everybody who participated in that. The 2 winners, Majetti was the 24-hour winner. He did actually multiple donations, so he was well deserved on that. And same thing with Ninja Pickle. He won the 6-hour. We were very thankful for his donations and the time he put forward for the whole campaign as well. So the one negative that did happen with round 2 is we had a lot of hashing power promised via our Google form that we had folks sign up and promise hashing power. Over 100,000 souls per second was quote unquote guaranteed, I guess you could say. And at the end of the day, when we really were able to offer our winners their hashing power for their allotted time, we were scraping by to get to the 50,000. So, that was disappointing. I didn't expect that out of the community. I didn't expect everybody to show up, but I will say that a lot of people that didn't even sign up to contribute stepped up and made it happen. And we were able to mine a little longer for each of the winners to make up for the difference in hashing power. So thank you, those people who did step forward. That was impressive. Going forward, though, it was very profitable for the winners, and we are doing our absolute best to streamline the donation process. We've been working to. We've got a donation bot currently in the Discord and Slack channel where you can type !donate, and it provides information, makes it very simple to donate. We're also trying to add in an actual donation tip bot that will allow each Discord and hopefully Slack member to have their own wallet within those chat programs, and they'll be able to not only send other members and outside wallets BitcoinZ, but most importantly, it'll make it very simple to donate, not just for the hashing campaigns that we will going forward try and do on a bi-weekly basis, but donate to the community. As simple as just typing $donate and put a solid whole number amount in there, and you're done. It's that simple. So hopefully going forward, we'll be able to streamline this and make it easy. Lastly, I want to say thank you specifically to CryptoRex, Equipool, and Rizman. All 3 of you. There's absolutely no way round 2 would have gone off like it did without your guys' help. So thank you guys for contributing.
And definitely thank you very much
Thanks for setting up, man.
Taking that on and keeping it going and bringing it back. So you led it, and it's been very successful. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for that too. It was great. It's something that we can keep going forward and always improve and make things better and grow. So it's great. Thank you very much for that.
All right. Next up is Rocket Chat. I just want to briefly mention for those who have used Slack and have gone into a channel and found it empty, thought maybe nobody's talked in here. Well, there's a 10,000 message history limit. That's across all of Slack. So once we hit 10,000, which we hit almost on a daily basis, I think, Slack starts hiding older messages. And so if somebody hasn't talked in a channel in more than 10,000 messages ago, the channel just looks empty. So it's been kind of annoying. I don't know if they also filter searches. I wouldn't be surprised. But there's just a bunch of issues with that. So I know Discord doesn't seem to have that limit. I don't know what their limit is if they have one, but you can see a lot more information there. We've also set up a Rocket Chat server, and Manu set that up. Thank you. He actually reserved a server for a year, and he set up the software and made it available on BitcoinZcommunity.com. And then CryptoRx hooked it up with all of the other communication gateways. So all conversations, or most of conversations, go there now. And then we're kind of using it as a backup of conversations. But also, if you're sick of Slack or Discord and you want to use Rocket Chat, you're more than welcome to. They have Android, iOS, and web applications and desktop applications. So they're just as usable as all the others. But it allows us to keep that history when we want to search for something or go into a channel and it not be empty, which is, to me, is very valuable. Next up is flipmybits.com. You want to talk about that, Rizman?
Go ahead.
Okay, I put that on the agenda, so maybe I'll give him some time to think. I think it kind of caught him off guard, but I just wanted to mention that's one of the use cases we have up there, and it's really useful. I think it's the first we've seen that's actually been launched. So it's a marketplace for using your BitcoinZ. There's going to be some improvements coming that I'll let Rizman speak to, but it's good to put it out there that it's available and to use it to start getting some traction on it. And I do plan, I think I mentioned to Rizman, I don't even know how long ago it's been, maybe a few days, that I was going to make a video on it. Haven't gotten around to it, but I will get around to it so that we can kind of showcase the way it works and what it's about. So with that, I guess, Rizman, if you have anything to add.
At this point, I don't have anything to add. I've been sidebarring it right now for updates, but the last I was working on was the putting into the code to actually automatically convert, because we have the coin market cap widget on the main site, the convert the price. So as one of the next step would be to have it auto calculate the converted BTCZ cost. Was what I was going to be working on. But yeah, there's a lot of things I want to do with it. Specifically, I want to try to automate the trust features on the sites to where, like, if let's say you post something online that you want to sell. The concept that I have behind that is to have, if you're looking for $20 worth of BTCZ for an item, then you post the item, and then something similar to I guess a Copay wallet, where you would front an equivalent amount of BTCZ just to show that you're committed to selling this item, and then at the other end of it, the person that wishes to buy it would also commit that into a third party fund, so to speak,
like an escrow.
Right, an escrow, just to make sure that both parties aren't flaking out or gaming the other side. That way, so there's some kind of a trust in it. Because currently, right now, the trust is on in between the two parties. Do it, I send you 50% now. Once I get the product, I'll give you the other 50%. At least in the transactions that I've done on it, that's how it's worked for me. But that still has a potential to be abused. So that's where I want to go with it in the future. I'm considering actually hiring some devs to code that into the site, but it's been mothballed for the past week. I just got to. Yeah, go ahead.
Just to quickly give a suggestion how you could actually get that to work. Okay. Not from a coder's point of view, but practically. If the seller sold this product, the person pays the full amount. It's put into a holding wallet owned by the site. This would be for 7 days or whatever until it's sent. Then the item can be sent Yeah, tracking numbers inputted into the site. Then one of us can check it. I don't know, one of the core team can check it, see it's been shipped, check with the buyer that they're happy.
Okay, I see, and then release funds.
And then release funds to the person. I mean,
I've got a suggestion
that
might make it a little bit easier. If the escrow in the long run, great, but from a programming standpoint, that could be invasive, I guess. But if we just as simple as a rating system for the users. So I'll give you a perfect example. Yesterday, I listed a listing to have a logo made for my small business, and in less than 12 hours might be overkill. It was 8 hours or so. I listed it. I was contacted. We chatted. We agreed. He started work. He did a fantastic job. I sent payment plus a tip, and I changed the listing to sold. It was very simple to use, but nobody else can see that transaction. I can't rate Lumi Boy, the person who made the logo for me. I can't rate him and say he did great work. He was easy to work with. He can't rate me and say that I actually paid for the work. If we just did a rating system for the users, then people could build a trust, kind of like on eBay. I wouldn't go buy something that's less expensive from somebody who has one sold item, so.
Right. Yeah, you're going to go with the person that has some reliable feedback on it. Yeah, and that's something I've been considering too. I and to clarify, guys, I'm a programmer only by shade tree. It's my 9 to 5 is network engineer, so that's where my specialty is in. So a lot of this, it's when I get free cycles to to work on it. That's what it is. So it's rather slow in that process. But I agree with that. I would like to get, if we can, even if we don't have cycles in the community for people to invest time to work on the site, it'd be nice to get those items, bullet items, somewhere to where we can get them on a to-do list, and then I will work on my end to try to get devs to actually encode it. And if anybody wants to actually take an active part in modifying the site, that'll be even better, because then I can give you guys access to it and just go to town with it, so to speak. But yeah, in general, that's where it is. It's been on hold on my platter, but it's not forgotten. I have a list of things, but
cool. Actually, is it on GitHub or?
It's forked off of Y class.
Okay.
So we can just fork it at any time, just pull it off, and start working that.
Okay.
Because there's an active Git out there for it. So,
okay.
I mean,
yeah. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I was just going to mention. Go ahead. Finish.
Yeah. No. So if you guys want to just fork it from there, maybe just make it BTCZ for Y class or whatever like that, and then once we got a version that's tenable, that we're comfortable with, I'll just we'll go ahead and I'll update it, or I can give you guys access to it, and you guys can push it, whichever. It's either or is fine.
Okay, I was just gonna add that I'll get some links from you, or figure out how to get that, and I'll put it on the help wanted board so that we can get some traction on that as well.
Yep. Sounds good, guys.
Cool.
I'm glad you guys are getting use out of it. I was kind of wondering, because it's like I see a lot of people adding stuff, but I don't see too much going off. It's the site is very elusive on that, so it's cool to hear that you're using it and getting use out of it.
Well, I plan to push it, so I think it's a good use case. So that's why I wanted to talk about it. Yep.
Cool, man. Thank you, guys.
Yep. I'm going to move on to the next topic here. I just wanted to mention quickly the blockchain bootstrap. There's a site called cryptochainer.com, and kind of reached out, and they have it's a site that holds zip files of blockchains for many different coins. So it's helpful to accelerate the syncing process for some people that don't want to wait to sync up to the node. So if you go and you download it, I'll post the link in the YouTube chat. You basically just download the zip file of the blockchain and you drop it into the data directory, and you sync up much quicker depending on when the last snapshot was. So really useful to have, and it would help accelerate your download of the blockchain. I think we spoke about the BCH support already. I think being removed from Copay, I think, right, Renuzit?
Yes.
Okay. So moving on, as I mentioned, I kind of alluded to briefly, the Help Wanted panel. I've added a Help Wanted panel to the info bulletin, the info.btcz.rock site, and it just has just a quick breakdown of what we have out there in the GitHubs, and that's meant to put things out there more to help understand what we have going on, what you can help as a developer, help progress, so that it'd be easier to onboard. You can reach out to us. I think there's an email address that we posted on there, as well as the Slack invite link. So if you have any questions or how you can help and join any of those, I'm going to add, of course, the Flip My Bits there as well. So there's different sites we have that we can always use help in, to either improve or to just add new features, so on and so forth. So I wanted to put that out there. The next thing, the Bittrex. I think several people have received responses from Bittrex, and they've said to let the community know to stop spamming them with support tickets to add the coin. So I went ahead and changed that to say stop submitting requests, basically. So as of now, and I'm sure we're going to run into this because as a community, that is, again, one of the things that I always say, power of the people. We have so many people doing that, and eventually they just get tired of it. I was hoping, honestly, that they would get so tired they would just say, okay, guys, we're going to add you. But I guess apparently that's not the way it works. So, haha. Moving on to Crypto Broker.
It's their loss.
Yeah, it's just going to get harder and harder for them to just want us to say okay, right? But anyway, that's another story. Crypto Broker, we've on the social media front, Twitter, Facebook, everywhere, just about everywhere, the forums, we've received a bit of feedback, I would say, from people that have their coins in limbo. This has happened before. I'll just say it's happened before, and GQM comes around, gets the support tickets taken care of, and everything flows through. But I just want to caution the community. We have other exchanges. This one, we're in constant. I'm constantly trying to get a hold of through any avenue, and I assume that it's going to come around. We're going to get that taken care of. But it's just a caution. We have other exchanges to use on our list. So,
on that same token, we should also talk about CSEX. They're still on their holiday break, and so I personally can't even log in. And I'm guessing other people are having issues depositing or withdrawing from there. So be careful with that one also.
Okay. Moving on to the YouTube campaign, there's one still in progress. It's still active. It's allocate the weekly 50,000 BTCZ, and I think there's like a 5,000 BTC reward for making a video based on the category, or there's details on that campaign board. So we encourage people to make videos and to meet the criteria. Is really important to meet the criteria of the to receive the reward. So read it and feel free to send us the video, the link, and once you meet the I think the view threshold, we'd be happy to distribute that reward. The PR and media campaign, we've been working behind the scenes to get that written up, and we have one written up for the next distribution for the PR and media campaign. That's going to go out to several different countries, and I think we getting some translations done. I think of Chinese and Russian, I believe. I think the Asian markets, and then there's going to be a distribution in the UK, and that's going to be an ongoing thing that we're going to be putting out there based on our progress and based on everything that's happened since the last meeting, which is quite a bit. So those are being written and getting drafted and approved, so we can push that information out and get the PR, get some traction on that and get it rolling. On the video marketing front, we've had several videos already posted in different languages on YouTube, so that's great. We've rewarded those people that have met the criteria of the campaign, and also we're probably going to be launching more very soon. And that's just people that are out there. There's a lot of YouTubers out there that are giving us exposure, and that's great. I know Voscoin was very early on, made some videos, and I did hear he's going to do that again. He has very quality content. We also have a script that's being worked on that's already had a voiceover done. and it's a great campaign video that's going to kind of give a really quick overview of BitcoinZ in the community, and that should be out really soon. They're working on, I think the voiceover has been completed now. They're just working on rendering and getting the actual video produced. So we should see that coming out very soon. I'm going to add this to the board, but the next thing is I would like to have some graphics made for, and I think that's been coming up kind of coincidentally, graphics made for the Twitter posts, depending on the category. Sometimes we need to tweet about mining. Sometimes, we need to tweet about the chat or a meeting or different categories that we tweet about, and, blockchain, whatever it may be. I would like to get with somebody to help create some graphics that correlate to the subject, basically, because I have some graphics that I've used and they don't really appear correctly. Sometimes I think Enver pointed out that one of them's coming out as just a plain black screen. On my side, it doesn't look like that. So I'm gonna put that on the help wanted board, and I know we have some graphic artists already, so you can help make some basically Twitter. They're not memes, but they're just Twitter graphics, and Facebook. So when we put things out there, it grabs kind of some attention out there. I've run out of graphics to use, so I want to work on that to help push out more things to get more noticed on Twitter and Facebook.
I'm gonna go ahead and interject on that as well. There is something I've been working on a side channel. I guess I'll let you guys know while we're on here. I imagine everybody on here is familiar with the old school Bitcoin physical currency, like Cassius coins. One of the things I started where I got a design in the works with a company to design some for BitcoinZ without that are unloaded. So a lot of those coins, they're considered, if you sell them with digital currency on them, you're considered a money transmitter. So it's some bullshit around that. So what I did is I've made a apologize, my son's going wild right now. But I went ahead and I designed some to where you can actually add an micro SD card into the back, and it's going to include a security label on the back where you just put it over the socket that will hold the SD card. So anybody that wants to see a draft of that can just hit me up in the chat, and I'll link you a picture to it. Or I'll put it in the community thing. But what I'm thinking of long term is that could be a money generator for the community fund. As of right now, I'm planning to sell them for about $25 to $30 worth of BTCZ with a 33% donation off of all sales for that. I think it'll be really cool to see it on there. Right now, we're going to do BTCZ, but I'm also thinking of, if we can get more graphic designers to do it for other coins as well, to create the design, we can actually submit that and make that a something that a niche market that we can offer for other coins, but they have to pay in BTCZ, kind of as like a kind of to kickstart the economy off of it. So it just, as we'll have BitcoinZ physical tokens that we can give with an SD card that's preloaded into it if we want to give it to friends and family, kind of a thing. We can do the same thing for Ethereum, whatever other coins are out there, and then force them to come to us through our currency to get the actual units. So let me know if you're interested in seeing some more of that.
Yeah, definitely. That sounds really interesting. I'd follow up on that with you.
Yeah.
Okay, what is the next item here? Quick mention of the further upgrades. I know that we just had the Zcash 1.014 merged on the GitHub, and I did see on also the BitcoinZ announcement that on the AND page and Bitcoin Talk forums that they're going to roll out some Zcash performance with privacy transactions improvements, and there's also smart contracts on the roadmap. So as of now, it seems like those things will be integrated into the core when that happens. I don't have any further details about when that's going to happen, but since we do follow pretty strictly the Zcash core roadmap, we usually integrate those things. So I wanted to just put that out there, that could be something that we'll see in the near future, or this year, I believe. I think we're up for Q&A.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
I think we've been answering a lot of the questions in the YouTube chat themselves.
That's what I was going to say. The community has been stepping up and answering each other's questions.
Yeah. While we wait, I'm going to do a stats count on the social media platforms and get the count. We haven't done it in a while, and it'd be interesting to see the growth that we've had in our Discord, our Slack, our Twitter, our Facebook page, so on and so forth. So
Yeah.
we've got a question. Z addresses for the Android wallet. So I want to take this one.
So it's definitely something we're looking into. Zcash is actually working on a couple of things. I think it's like, man, I can't remember the name of the projects off the top of my head. Sapling and then Jub. Is it Jub?
Yes, yes.
So we're following those projects pretty much monthly, and just kind of like see what the developments are. They say they're going to have something this year as far as, or actually, I guess I can go back to what the problem is. The problem is that when you send a Z transaction, it requires 4 gigabytes of RAM, a lot of CPU power to process it, which is out of the reach of most mobile phones. And Sapling and Jub, what they do is they reduce the requirements, the resource requirements for these transactions to happen. So as soon as we get those resource requirements down, or find a way that we can offload those to the server somewhere else, then the Z address transactions will become a reality on mobile devices. But it's definitely something we're closely following, and we're actively trying to find a solution to. Right now, as far as our priorities are with the mobile devices, are actually just decentralization right now. And then after we get past the decentralization part of it, we'll move on into adding more features.
I just glanced at Slack, and I noticed somebody asked if something goes towards developers. I'm not sure if they're talking about, they said, do proceeds go to the dev team? Dev team does not take any sort of payment from the community or anybody really. And all the volunteers are just that. They're volunteers. We're all here helping in any way we can. Many of us spend many hours a day, a week, a month. And we're not looking for payment. We're not asking for payment. Anything that usually requires a payment we'll likely see in the info site with a vote. CryptoX has been doing a great job of staying on top of that. So rest easy knowing that the developers are just donating their time. But at the same time, know that they are volunteers. And so they still have full-time jobs. They still have families. And they can't make things happen like somebody who is working full-time. So be patient if you've got an issue. Yeah, that's about all I've got to say on that.
Okay, someone's asked, any plan to be on a bigger exchange? And I can take this one. Yes, we always are. Everyone always asks. And of course we want to be on a bigger exchange, but I guess I keep saying this answer again and again. What's the point at the minute of paying, let's say, 5 Bitcoin to Cryptopia to be on their exchange when no one's going to know us? It's just pointless, basically. So I think we need to get our coin a strong backing behind it, get all our tech working, like the multiple mobile wallets we want to develop. And maybe, I mean, I was thinking maybe we could do a payment API, other community ideas we have for us to do before we start paying 5 Bitcoin to an exchange to list us. I don't think that's worth it at the minute, and I think the exchanges we have are quite adequate. I personally managed to sell 200,000 BitcoinZ to help me get enough money to buy all the graphics cards I need to buy, because it was a bit short. So it was very quick and easy to use the exchanges that we're on now. Stocks exchanges is what I used, and I was basically in and out and done within about an hour using Bitcoin to send the transaction. With Ethereum, it would have been a bit quicker. But even using Bitcoin, I managed to get it from my wallet to Stocks Exchange, from Stocks Exchange to Kraken to my bank account, and that was done within the space of a day. So I think the exchanges we have at the moment are fine. And stop asking that question, please.
I think to add to that, I think the pace that we're moving at it's pretty healthy. There's no this is a long-term project, a very long-term project. Now, it doesn't mean that you're not going to see rapid movement. Sometimes you'll see spurts of movement, but I think our pace is healthy, and the way things are going, as we're raising the funds we need to, I think it's working out great. Our growth is growing. I mean, our growth is healthy in a sense that if it goes too fast, obviously, it's just an in and out. It's an easy exit for some people. We want to grow a community. We want to grow us together, and I think that it's as we're adding, the exchanges, and it takes time to raise the funds and all that. It's all a positive thing because it gets us into the right place at the right time. As far as up to now, it's been working great.
Yep.
Questions?
So yeah, someone said, admin, explain what else is needed Z address except to send freshly mined coins. Can I send BTCZ from T addresses to Z addresses? So I think the question is basically, can I send BitcoinZ from T addresses to a Z address?
I can take that one. Yes,
Yeah.
And actually, if you look at, there's a distribution chart on the Explorer that CryptoX runs. Basically, it's like 75% of all BitcoinZ are stored in Z addresses. And so basically, they're just private addresses, and you can send from a T address to a Z address, and then from a Z address to another Z address. They're fully interchangeable. But Z addresses are completely hidden. They're completely anonymous. Not just anonymous, but completely private. So if you want to keep your coins private, definitely put them in a Z address.
Hashtag tax evasion. I'm joking. Have we got any other questions?
Well, on that same note, I mean, if you do look at CryptoX's Explorer and you see that distribution looks very weird, do know that 75% of the BitcoinZ are currently in private addresses. So that Explorer can't show you where they are or who owns them because they are completely private, which sucks because you can't get reporting on the biggest wallets or the top 10 or whatever. But it is awesome that it is completely private.
I think it'd be awesome if a miner would set up a private address as well. We don't have any yet.
What do you mean?
Like if you could just mine to private addresses. I know it takes up a lot of resources to send them out, but it would be awesome if a pool could do that.
I want to say one of the main issues is the mining software right now. Like, I don't know, do the others EquiHash coins, their Z addresses, do they start with Z also? Like, that might be part of the problem, is knowing which one goes to who.
I think the bigger issue is probably the resources it takes, because so many people they have to submit so many transactions to distribute to different people. It'd be in the queue for a long time and probably fail. Reduce it. I think it's the whole sapling and
those join splits, those lock up your node. So you'd have to have hundreds of nodes at your control and I would assume you have a small pool. So the resources, like they were saying before with the mobile and the Z addresses, the resources, those join splits lock up a node wholeheartedly. So anyways.
It might become reality when Jub becomes a thing that's actually merged in.
Yep.
We got 3 more questions. If someone wants to help in development in free time, what would be required?
Oh, that reminds me. I'm gonna put I suggest, or I think it'd be a good range of between maybe 5 to 10 hours a week, but that's just a range. I don't know what would make sense, because I think we get a lot of people that say, yeah, we can do this, I can do that, and then they either disappear, or we ask them and then we don't, when we actually execute on what they can help on, they don't come around. So I think you have to set aside a few hours a week, and that could be, I'm guessing, between 5 to 10 hours a week. 10 on the very, very high side, and maybe 5 hours, because I know a lot of people have full-time jobs, but I think that's a healthy range to be able to want to dedicate.
And I think like I mentioned earlier, we're trying to move more things than just the code into GitHub. So basically, we're creating issues for any ideas that we have for things that we want to build. And so if you do have some free time, just random free time, you can go through and look at our issues. And if you can take care of one of them or two of them, or however many you have time for, you can just go ahead and do that and then push up a pull request, and we'll review it and get it merged in.
And to add to that, I think to kind of clarify further the question, Mohammed, is that what would be required other than the time is just reaching out to us either on Slack, or there's also a community email that's posted on the Help Wanted board. So you can go there, reach out to us, let us know what you can do. Again, it's not just developing. There's also moderating and posting. And as I said, also I'm going to add to have some graphics built or created for us, so on and so forth. So it's not just coding. There's a lot of things that go behind the scenes. Building relationships, sending emails, so on and so forth. There's a lot of things that go on. So those are the different ways that can help. But it's just a matter of you reaching out, letting us know what you can do, what you're willing to do, the amount of time that you're willing to set aside, and then actually execute on those, on whatever it is that you undertake. So that's really all that's required, which actually putting it together sounds like a lot. But anyway, it's a lot.
All right, next question was suggestions for the best graphics card to use for BitcoinZ mining. I just got done building 3 rigs, and I used 1070 Ti's. I've heard a lot of people say 1060 Ti's. Or
1060 Ti's.
Others. 1060s are good. So it's just do your research, I guess. The 1070s and 1060s seem to be pretty decent.
Yeah, your question. Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to throw in my 2 cents. My farm's completely 1060s because I get them relatively cheap. So just do some calculations, basically. Find out the hash rates for cards. Ask one of the big miners. They'll probably have a thing. I have I have a pre-made document that gives me the hash rate for each card and the price I can get them at from my supplier. So then just work out your hash rate per dollar spent plus the electricity consumption. Work that out, and that's the best card to buy for you. Generally in the video
card
cards,
density
obviously.
too. Yeah.
You also have to consider space. If you're somehow restricted for space, in a very small country like Japan, where space is like ridiculously expensive, you might want to consider the higher end cards because you occupy less space. But from my calculation, for every single dollar you spend, you get the equal amount in every card in terms of souls. So if you want to go, it's more about how much of your motherboard you're going to buy, a hard disk you want to use. So all these extras actually cost, and you want to take consideration of these extras rather than just graphic cards. In terms of souls, trust me, every dollar gets you the same amount of souls in no matter which card you go to.
Correct.
Sorry. Dying over here. Did Hashgob want to say something? Sorry.
That sparked a whole conversation about mining.
Yeah, I was going to say you're going to get all the big miners coming in saying something, but no, but I think you guys already pretty much covered it. Each individual person's going to have their own goals when mining, right? I mean, some people are like, I want to build a big farm. Some people are like, I just want to learn what I'm doing. There's benefits to all the different types of cards. I agree with Scribbles when he says the 1060s. Those are by far the most prominent cards in my farm, and the return on investment on those is fantastic in my opinion for my needs.
Yeah.
But there are lots of factors, you know, heat and space and so on. But lean on any of us. That's why we are all here. Scribbles, myself. I think actually almost every single person that's in this hangout is mining in some form or another. So lean on us and the other community members.
Yep. Could I just ask, off topic, what your farm is? How many cards and hash rate, if you don't mind sharing?
No, not at all. So if you include the recent change to when I moved to another state here, I've got just below 50 cards. I think it's 47 total, primarily comprised of the 1060s, various brands. I don't have a favorite necessarily, although I do favor the MSIs. The AMD cards, though, the 570s, I've been very impressed with those. They do consume more electricity. They do create more heat, which kind of go hand in hand, obviously. But they do quite well on the Equihash algo, and as long as they've been modded for the ETH hash on a power saving BIOS, they do fantastic. So I'm not quite where you are, although I hope to be soon if I can get enough power to support that.
Yeah, that's my issue right now because I've just finished building my new location, which is a shed. But I've got 100 cards. I'm gonna be up and running with 100 cards, 100 1060s by hopefully Tuesday, Wednesday time when I get back to the UK.
Well, Squibs, what's your kilosol so far?
Well, it's gonna. Well, at the minute, I've took all my rigs offline, but if I had everything running, it'd be about
25.
No, at the minute, it's going to be about 15 megahertz, 15,000 souls.
Nice.
But with all those cards running properly overclocked, and because at the minute they're on little wooden frames temporarily in my office. Well, I've been relegated out my office because of that. But yeah, I'm expecting about 32,000 souls, and then I'm going to expand again in a couple months' time, depending on what Volta does.
So ultimately, just lean on, you know, those listening and those in the chats and those that have questions about this that are new or moving along at a quick pace. Things change quick, and just lean on us, and we'll do our best to answer your questions. And there's other members that aren't currently in this chat that can answer your questions too. And Google.
Always.
Or Bing if you're one of those.
Bing. Congratulations.
Somebody asked, can we have something like a press kit with HD logos, etc.? There is one, CryptoRex. Have you got a link to it?
I just pasted the link.
Nice. Except from that, any other questions?
I think there's a question.
Getting quickly.
Oh, somebody said, can I use the logo for the BitcoinZ video? I'm trying to create about advantages. Yes, you're more than welcome to use the logo for any purpose that you need, as long as it's clean and benefits the community.
Please.
By the way, which chat are you guys looking at for the question answers?
All over the place, really.
Yeah, there's YouTube.
Just got everything open.
While the Meetup is live, there's a chat in YouTube itself, and then we're also checking Slack and whatnot.
Oh, sorry. That's a more direct answer. Sorry.
Unfortunately, let it be known, as soon as the Meetup ends, for some reason YouTube makes the chat disappear, and I think completely gets rid of it for some reason.
Yeah.
Just slightly annoying for somebody that mans the chat and answers loads of questions in it. Last questions. Can you talk, please, about exchange? Right, okay, you guys can deal with this.
I think we already have talked about it. Basically, we have 4 exchanges right now. 2 of them good, 2 of them not so good. We have a drag race, if you will, between whether to go with Cryptopia or what is it, BTC Alpha plus the other one. I forget what the name is.
Open Ledger.
Yeah, so for those two, we need about 5 Bitcoin to pay for those. So there's a 2.5 to pay for either option. So there's a 2.5 BTC race for people to donate to one of those two options, and then whichever one wins will fold the donations of the other one into that, and hopefully have enough to pay for that. An exchange in China. If you have, we have an exchanges channel in Slack, and we've just been submitting to several people in the community have just been submitting to tons of exchanges. So if you have questions on ones that are good in China, I personally don't know of which ones would be good, but if you have suggestions, feel free to hop into Slack and post in there.
Okay, we've got a couple of questions come in. We've had. Do you want to read them out?
No, I just wanted to add on. I think there's a huge maybe misunderstanding exchanges and taking money out. Because if you are dealing with exchanges, that's it doesn't need to be in a certain country. All you need to know is that you need someone who's willing to dispense a common currency like a common coin like Bitcoin or Ethereum and convert it into a fiat currency in your country. So if you guys are actually looking for exchanges that actually is able to do fiat currency, you don't need that. You just need somebody who's willing to transfer. So the current 3 exchanges that we are using now, all 3 of them can actually do transfer to BTC, but a few of them were transferred to Ethereum. And so far, Ethereum is faster than BTC, but BTC is accepted across quite a number of countries, and they are able to be converted into fiat currency, which is your US dollar, Chinese renminbi, for me, it will be Singapore dollar. So you have to find that chain link or the stack that will get you from your BTC-Z all the way to your dollar value in your country. So for the question that Dory Martin mentioned, one in China, I'm not sure whether you're looking at getting your dollar value back or you're looking at getting BTC exchanged internally within China, which may not be necessary.
Just to quickly add, I mentioned it just before. It's a pretty quick operation to go from BitcoinZ to pound sterling sat in my bank account. I managed to do it, like I said, within the space of a day. I think at the minute our exchanges that we have are fine. If you want a quick and easy withdrawal, definitely recommend Stocks Exchange, Ethereum, Kraken bank account. Very quick, very seamless, very easy. And in terms of getting on bigger exchanges, like I've said before, I don't think it's worth us spending community funds on that at the moment.
I agree.
We've had another question.
I agree, and there's something to be said about the exchanges that have accepted us, that have went through the work to get us up and running. They kind of deserve a reward of being able to be the go-to for that, to make some money on themselves as well. So let's not forget that in regards to doing the exchange races and such like that. Those that started and worked with us from the beginning, we should try to use those and repay that, so to speak.
Yeah. So, okay, we've had another question. It's the same one as before. Any plans for Z addresses on my BitcoinZ wallet? If you just scroll back through the video, you'll find your answer to that. Not sure what person's asking. Oh, you've answered that. Someone asked, just found BitcoinZ. What is the purpose of the project and why was it created? Someone passionately explain.
I think CryptoX already responded to that.
A coin for all.
I want some passion.
Let me see if I can draw some tears real quick.
What chat was that in?
This is on YouTube.
YouTube chat.
Can somebody link that inside the group chat here, the Hangout?
Sure. It's basically the YouTube stream.
Someone has asked, how do you differentiate from BTC privates? We're better. We have a bigger community.
And we're not air.
Yeah, short and sweet.
We're awesome.
So well, for me, the biggest difference is the supply. So a lot of people see the supply at 21 billion and think, wow, that is way too much. Well, look at it this way. We want to be a community coin. We want it to actually be a coin that's used in everyday life. So with that being the case, how many people live in the world or are alive? And, you know, how do you distribute 21 million coins or 50 million coins or 100 million coins to all those people? You start falling into this very small denominations that you have with Bitcoin. And that's not very usable. People can't remember, oh, I have 0.0005 BTC in my wallet that I can use today. That's very hard to work with that as far as everyday transactions. And so the huge supply enables us to use BitcoinZ in everyday life without having to do these really complex math in our head or whatnot. So that's, to me, one of the biggest differences between the two.
And the scarcity lends to a high dollar amount, and that's also a problem because you run into an affordability issue. That's also why it helps to have a high supply, and it's for the future.
Well, along with that is the more expensive a coin gets, the more expensive the fees are. And so our fees of 0.0001 BitcoinZ will never add up to a penny until we reach, you know, maybe $100 or $1,000 per BitcoinZ. And if that happens, then we're going to have that problem. To me, I find it really problematic to spend, you know, $10 or $15 transaction fee when I want to transfer Bitcoin. It keeps me from wanting to use the coin, which is not a good thing in my eyes. And so with BitcoinZ, it's going to be a lot harder for us to have this issue.
Okay, I just froze. We had another question. Who is behind BitcoinZ? Satoshi Nakamoto, basically. No, I'm joking.
That was
a response to the question.
Yeah, I was just saying, check that. I went through a pretty detailed list of pros and cons and such of different alt currencies and what kind of delineates us from the rest. I'm just recommending anybody go through there and look at it. If they have any questions like what are the distinctions that make us different, better, go on there and read that. A quick way to get to it is go into CoinMarketCap and then go under the social for BTCZ, and it's the top Reddit post on there. So that'll give anybody that's coming in new to this just really a purview of some of the benefits.
And just to specifically answer David's question of who is behind it, it's everybody, anybody and everybody. If you're mining it, you're behind it. If you're running a pool, you're behind it. If you're trading it, you're behind it. If you're helping in any way, you're also part of the community. You know, the community is comprised of just about anybody who's talking about it, who's using it, who's, you know, involved in any way, shape, or form. And so we all make up the community, and it's a pretty big community, and it's growing nearly exponentially at this point.
It's probably also good to note that not one person makes a decision.
Right.
So
that's
it's
the biggest thing. So
really the community's behind it. I mean, it's 100%. A lot of times it's more about getting the community involved towards an idea than actually just, you know, having somebody dictate what it will be.
Okay, I think
one more question, or a couple more. What's your policy with regard to devs with credentials on GitHub being kidnapped, bribed, or woken after decades as a sleeper agent for a nation state? Okay.
Basically, get your tinfoil hat on, okay? Get in your basement and you'll be all right.
all code is peer reviewed, so code shouldn't be getting in there without a whole bunch of devs looking at it and then signing off on it is kind of the thing there.
Right, next on, anyone here from Itbog? What's that?
No idea what that is.
If you explain what that is, we'll be able to answer. Then another question, is there any service? Sorry, I can read. Are there any services planned to be developed to use BTCZ? Somebody passionately answer this one.
One thing me and Renuzit and Equipool were speaking about yesterday is development of developer nodes for building apps that will integrate with the blockchain there. So the idea behind that, in general, would be so that small mom and pop shops or anybody really that wants to take BTCZ as a usable functional currency will be able to once we get these nodes out there, the idea is get the community to build apps around them. So, for example, have a point of sale system for cryptocurrency so that a waiter, when she gets a check for $30 that somebody wants to pay in BitcoinZ, it will automatically look at the current rate, and then be able to print I guess you could say, be able to print a receipt for that in BitcoinZ, where the customer can then take a snapshot of, say, like a barcode, and then render the payment, and then give notification to that person that the transaction has arrived. So that's kind of like a rough mindset of what we're looking at, is something to that regard. But we're working right now is to simplify that API and get it to where it's actually going to be something functional for say a C# developer or Java or any other developer out there that has, the ability to code, to be able to do it in a uniform manner. So simple answer, yes. Detailed, that's going to be to be continued conversation as we go along and we evolve.
And as we build these APIs and services, our goal is to first build tools for other people to be able to build on top of BitcoinZ, and
correct,
new businesses that utilize all this stuff. But you know what? We're all people. We're all volunteers, and if nobody takes advantage of these tools that we build, we may just build out some awesome tools ourselves.
Exactly.
So it's definitely, this coin is still early, and it's an early time to jump in and hopefully strike gold with building a service that everybody starts using.
I mean, the reason we have such a high supply is because we want to be a coin that's used every day. So if we can develop APIs that allow us to do exactly that, we'd love to develop it as part of the core community. But anyone can join and help with that, and it would be greatly appreciated if people can donate their time.
Namero999 is asking if we need Java programming. Yes, actually, our Swing wallet, which is the full node wallet, runs in Java. And we've got some things that we need work on. So, for example, I mentioned earlier there's the bug with the UI showing read-only addresses. So, yeah, if you have time to help, get in touch with us on Slack or Discord or whatever, and we'll definitely enlist your help.
Another question people ask, oh, I'm volunteering, I don't want to. You can sort of, as a hint, hunch, if you're a developer, and let's say you mine BitcoinZ as well, or you bought some BitcoinZ, if you help develop and you release a product, that product then gets used, that then causes the price of the coin to go up. Well, hint, hunch, you've sort of, made yourself a wage there. So that can sort of be an incentive as well for people to come and develop, because I personally believe we have a great foundation for a coin here, and I feel like it should be a hotbed for developers to come and add to it and build their APIs and applications on top of it, using it. I think there's a guy in Scotland with a sushi bar who's accepting BitcoinZ already. So
I saw that, and I love sushi.
yeah, we're getting. I was in Scotland. Shame I couldn't go to Glasgow. I was in Edinburgh.
We should have a meetup there.
Yeah, right. I know, honey. We're going on a trip. We're gonna go buy sushi in Scotland.
Just to spend our BTZ. See.
Might as well. It's a business trip.
All right. Well, I think that's it for questions. Thank you for everybody who joined us for this. Thank you for all the volunteers for your time and dedication to the community and the coin. If you have any further questions, please direct them to Slack, and we'll be happy to answer and help you there. So yeah, until the next meetup, thank you guys for joining us.
Yep. Thanks, everyone. Appreciate it very much. All your hard work.
Thank you.
Likewise, guys. Thank you.